Good evening, everyone. Our dear partners, changemakers, colleagues, and our lovely board and our honorary president. Friends and family. It is a true privilege and an absolute honor and really a personal joy to welcome you tonight as we celebrate 20 years of Drosos Foundation. It is more than an anniversary. It is a moment to reflect. And as someone in the conversation right now told me, it's just beautiful that you choose to celebrate in those dark times. And that's exactly how we felt. It's really, as we look into the world, it's not really a moment to celebrate, but we still take this time to reflect, look back at what we have achieved together, and to look ahead and imagine and really reimagine future together. As I reflect on our journey, a beautiful Arabic word comes to mind, niya, intention with heart and purpose. It really reflects on what we do and why we do it with heart and purpose. And as I reflect on this word, it really comes back that it goes back to how we manage difficult times. And as many of you know, my parents fled a country at war, and my childhood was shaped by uncertainty. But even in those dark times, something that I saw really was profound, because I saw neighbors lifting each other up, people empowering each other, just being there for each other. And that is exactly what agency means, something really profound, and the ability and the power that you can shape your own life. My first experience of leadership was as a teenage dance teacher in my community. And I saw shy faces, and I really look forward to the performance today from Delta, because I know how they must be feeling right now. And as I think of these shy faces turn into confident ones, my first lesson of leadership was exactly not power over others, but the ability to discover the strength within someone and really help them discover that strength. And that's exactly what leadership should be about. And as we... And that belief, that exact belief that no matter your background, every person can shape their future is what brought me to Drosos. As we reflect on what Drosos' core is, it is really powerful because it really shows every person holds potential. And Mr. Kraft, you knew her personally. You had that honor and pleasure to know her. Our founder, Christa Gelbke, whose conviction and compassion was really rooted in that one belief that no matter your background, that opportunity and dignity should not depend on your circumstance, that you can do anything that you want. And she really gave us that power to carry forward. And our foundation was built on trust, on the trust about people's resilience, the trust of people's ability, and believing in their capacity that they can shape their own lives. And that trust is still deeply embedded in our culture, in our DNA as Drosos. Over the past 2 decades, we have really stayed close to communities. And as Mr. Kronauer also reflected, our team members really try their best to stay true to their values and really stay close to the communities we work in. And that closeness has become, over time, our strength and our credibility. And together with our partners, we are really humbled to have achieved so much. And you'll see as part of our timeline some of these initiatives. And we have achieved much, and we have matured as an organization, and always making way for people to reflect their own realities, really true to people's values and where they come from. And that has really become our strength. Across our regions where we work, we really see the impact of this approach. In Aswan, in Upper Egypt, for instance, and we have a lot of guests from Egypt tonight, and a young mother that I met as part of a project, and she's working in a social enterprise that produces sun-dried tomatoes. This young mother told me, I am working for the very first time. It's such a simple thing to say, but she didn't count the years of unpaid care work that she did. But just the fact that she's able to leave her home and do this work was so powerful for her in that context. And the other examples are in Petra, in Jordan, young people being trained in heritage conservation said, I feel so proud and connected to my own culture thanks to this project. In Chemnitz, in Eastern Germany, the Gründungsgarage is supporting young entrepreneurs, turning their visions and ideas into reality, and really fostering an entrepreneurial spirit, but also a sense of shared purpose. In Marrakesh, in Morocco, the Amal Project, a pioneering restaurant and training center that supports young mothers, young single mothers, and women generally overcoming adversity. And it's just amazing to see how in that training center, they just have a safe, loving space, but also at the same time, they get employment and they can learn culinary skills. These examples are not isolated stories. They show what you can achieve when trust meets opportunity and when systems quietly shift from within. Building on this strength, we reflected for ourselves, what should Drosos become next? How can we shape our next chapter as a foundation? And we chose to begin with listening. Over the past years, we engaged across all our countries in Germany, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Morocco, Tunisia, Palestine, and Switzerland. We listened to some of you. We listened to our partners, change makers, our board, to experts and entrepreneurs. And what we heard, we mapped, and we unlearned, relearned, reflected, and connected. And one message stood out very clearly from what we heard is that Drosos should not only evolve as a supporter, Drosos should become a convener, should be a connector of ideas, of people, and purpose. And bringing all of you together this evening is a reflection of this direction, and it's part of our learning as well. Our intention and our purpose is very clear. We want to create conditions for others to thrive and to lead lasting change. Our new strategy is based on some of these reflections. And some of the pillars are what we have discussed with some of you already: skills development, it's part of entrepreneurship, social and economic inclusion. They are not separate pillars per se, but really this one continued journey for positive futures. And skills open doors. As many of you work in this sector know, learning doesn't only happen in classroom. It's happening today. It's one reflection as well. And it happens in studios, in community centers. It happens in other places that people gather. And it happens in workshops. When future skills and vocational skills, young people get those skills and are equipped with confidence and with empathy and critical thinking, they can really shape their own life. And today we will hear from one of the change makers on the panel, from Mohammed from Egypt, how he is driving that work and is supporting young change makers, young people to learn filmmaking and to learn how to create digital content. And that's also a very remarkable creative activity in the region. Entrepreneurship creates opportunity. Across the MENA region, Europe, we see so many social entrepreneurs stepping up and turning local challenges into opportunities. And we have Ronnie with us today, who will be speaking about his own experience being an alumni from Creative Space Beirut, where in Beirut such an amazing initiative is being taken on, where young people who wouldn't otherwise have access, that they can actually be and become fashion design leaders. And there are many entrepreneurs across the region where they're really turning tradition and local craft and turning them into sustainable livelihoods. Inclusion is a right, not a privilege. As a refugee child, I know exactly what I'm talking about when I say I know what exclusion feels like. I have experienced exclusion firsthand, the feeling of being spoken about, not spoken to. And today we will hear from care leavers, young people who grew up in foster care. Lucia and Kati have really started taking their own voice in their own hands and shaping their own narrative. And that's powerful because trust and opportunity replaces silence and stigma. Those closest to the challenges often hold the most powerful solutions. And our task is really listen to them and to integrate them into our work. Drosos, our work, is not only about funding projects. It goes beyond that. We invest in ideas. We invest in people. We invest in determination. And our guiding principles really determine the work we do. And the first element is really we advance young people's opportunities, that they get equitable opportunities no matter of their background. We support local leadership and young change maker and youth agency because change is most powerful when it's led from within. We create space for capacity building, also for our partners and our team to have that exchange. We cultivate reflection because we also walk the talk and do our own learning, the way we did in the way we actually shaped our strategy. Last but not least, we strive for sustainability because we have that long-term vision. All of these principles together really keep us close to what matters: people, purpose, and lasting change. And many of you know that strategy only lives when we know what we value and how we do our work. The world around us is changing. As I mentioned earlier, it is easy to feel very disheartened by what we see today. Development aid is shrinking, security budgets are rising, inequality widens, and conflicts and war multiply. Young people are taking the burden, and young people are actually taking all the crisis and trauma and whatever is happening around the world on them that they did not cause. And still, across all the countries where we work, we see extraordinary amount of resilience. And that's just so inspirational because our partners remind us that no matter how dark the moments are, hope prevails. In Gaza, where our partners and colleagues and our people in general, children, women, are being faced with unimaginable hardships. But even in that context, their courage to step up and to keep thriving and to keep momentum, and even amongst loss and tragedy, is just, there are no words for it. It's really moves us deeply. And that really shows what proximity truly means. Proximity, it's not about geography. It's about humanity. It's about staying there when things get hard. And this moment calls for courage. It calls for courage to stay through hard times. It calls for courage to back local leaders when others step away. And it calls for courage to listen to people deeply, people with lived experience. Philanthropy's role is not to take center stage. Well, I'm saying that after a few minutes of talking, so my role is not to take center stage, but I'll step away in a minute. But our role as philanthropy is to enable others to lead, and also to know when to step forward and when to step back. Tonight, gratitude fills this room. To our partners across all the countries where we work, you are the heart of this foundation. The work you do, despite all the obstacles, it's really inspiring us, and we continue to get inspired by every single moment that you actually thrive in difficult contexts like this. And thank you for being there and doing the work that you're doing. To my dear colleagues, thank you for your compassion, your integrity, your perseverance. You bring so much heart and soul to Drosos, and it is just amazing to see how much heart and in the way you show up, in the way you care, in the way you collaborate, in the way you also turn purpose into action every single day. It's really an absolute privilege to be working with such an amazing team. To our board and honorary president, thank you for your trust and for your commitment to our collective purpose. We hold our privilege with responsibility, and our role is to balance accountability with care and humility. Looking ahead, the next 20 years belongs to fresh minds. It belongs to people who are courageous to step up and to lead the way for a better future. And our role as foundation is really to identify those voices and really create the space for them to thrive. And looking back of all the more than 600 initiatives, I think of the lives shaped of all the stories started and all the commitments people have made among those initiatives. And you will see some of these initiatives as part of our event today, the Young Changemakers panel, and you will see the performance from Delta, and you will see some of the 20 visionary stories that you see right here on the board. And let me go back to where we began. This beautiful Arabic word, niya, intention with purpose and heart. Our niya at Drosos is very clear. To be enablers, not heroes. To be there when things get hard. And our role is really to trust in people's ability and to believe in their power to change their own lives. Because real change only happens, and real change begins with the power in us. And that's what Drosos is about. And that's what Drosos stands for. And that's what we have to keep nurturing. And that's how we reimagine futures. Because Drosos is not the story of a foundation. It is the story of what happens when you believe in people. Thank you.